world to me is so wonderfully specific, that kind of high end, for lack of a better word, the richness of the history that yeah, there's just something where I'm like, oh, this feels like a lived in space. So yeah, I was wondering if that was like a world that you knew, had moved through in some way to know it so well, or to be able to bring it to life.
No, I lived that world. That was I grew up in that world. That was my world. But
Yeah.
it's really true. I grew up in that world, and it's very true to life in that respect. What I really wanted to get across was not only the beauty of it, because well, I grew up in a beautiful world. I assure you. You just go, are you freaking kidding me? And it really is. It was at that level of game. I mean, no kidding. But everything comes with a price, dude. You got to pay the piper. And the
Yeah.
piper is, there are certain formalities, constrictions, restrictions, moralities, codes of conduct, etiquette, courtesies, and all of these things that you have to perform, and perform brilliantly, or
Yes.
you are no longer part of that world.
My part of it, just reading it before doing the audiobook of it, was I found myself wanting to be in the world, not just, for like, oh, it looks lovely, but for the challenge of playing the game, to be like, whoa, could I be good at this? Like, there's a part of what intrigues me about those kind of worlds, because it's not one I come from, is exactly to say the price you have to pay. But if you can play it well, you can pay the price, to be like, wow, it really takes a type of intelligence and charm and cunning to navigate personalities and decorum and form and try to get what you want. And I find that to be, I've always wondered, like, would I do well in that kind of game? Would I suffer in that kind of game? And I felt like this book it has so many different points of view in the game. Bruni, Percy, Johnny, who, are similar ages and places that one can relate to kind of as a younger person coming into it, even though we're established in it, and being like, yeah, constantly pushing and pulling with that world, to be like, do I want to step in further? Do I want to pull away? What is rebellion? What is embracing it? Like, so fun.
I ultimately did not choose to live in that world.
Yeah.
That was my thought, and but that's also why I can write about it, because I'm
Yeah.
not part of it. And if I was part of it, I'd never be able to write about it. But
Yeah.
I've taken enough distance so I can actually do that. But the price that's also paid, you have to have money to live in that world. That's a fact. To keep money takes, extraordinary skill. To make money and keep it takes really serious skill. A lot of the people that I grew up with kept it. There's a lot of games being played, and a lot of it has to do with control. It's the alpha game. Who is the alpha dog? Who is the alpha bitch? It's going to be, that's how it's going to be played. And there is a whole level of, one-upmanship. And when you're done at a very high level, it's done in the aesthetic level. Can you make your house more beautiful than the other guys? Is that, who's on the wall in your house? It's like that type of thing. So you do get a lot of that. But remember, you as a growing up person, you have to play the game. And, there's nothing like, I met Duke and Duchess of Windsor in a bathrobe. I did that to Prince Rainier. I did that to so many really great people, in a bathrobe, in my pajamas. But that's how it was. But you had to sit there and perform. And it was really, really great. And it shaped me, in the sense that there's so many threats when you're a kid in that world. You don't have, they come in text. No, these were invisible threats. They existed, and you have to be able to go into a room and sit there and go, this is, what is happening here? Where do I need to put my attention? That type of thing. So that is part of that world.
Eye of the Moon, award-winning Book 1 of the Eye of the Moon series, written by Ivan Obolensky, narrated by Carter Roy and Vanessa Richardson.